our project is on self-harm. My inspiration for this project is the fact that I used to cut, and I wondered why it would create a temporary relief, but a permanent memory and pain. What is self-harm? Self-harm is injuring yourself on purpose by making scratches or cuts to your body with a sharp object enough to break the skin and make it bleed. Why do people cut themselves? Cutting is a way some people try to cope with the pain of strong emotions, intense pressure, or upsetting relationship problems. The urge to cut might be triggered by strong feelings the person can't express. What can happen to people who cut? People who cut can end up either dead or in the hospital. People who cut even agree that cutting is not a good way to help get relief. There are many alternatives to cutting. There's just a few of them right in that picture. How widespread is cutting? About 1% of the U.S. population, or between 2 to 3 million people, exhibit some type of self-abuse behavior. There is a Self-Injury Awareness Day. It is March 1st. You can either wear orange, paint your nails orange, or do anything that has to do with orange. Cutting will cause a temporary relief, but it will also cause a permanent reminder on what you did and why you did it. There are many types of self-harm. There are about 9 or 10 on here. 1, scratching or pinching. 2 would be hitting objects to cut toward the point to where you bruise or bleed. 3 is cutting. 4 is hitting oneself till you bruise or bleed. 5 is ripping skin. 6 would be carving. 7 is interfering with healing. 8 is burning. 9 is rubbing objects into the skin. 10 is hair pulling, and many people do these. There are a few myths about cutting. Myth number 1 is people who self-injure are crazy and or dangerous. The fact is, it is true that many people who self-harm suffer from anxiety, depression, or a previous trauma, just like millions of others in the general population. But that doesn't make them crazy or dangerous. Self-injuring is how they cope. Sticking a label like crazy or dangerous on a person actually isn't accurate or helpful. Myth number 2 is if the wounds aren't bad, it isn't serious. That is wrong. The severity of a person's wounds has very little to do with how much he or she may be suffering. Don't assume that because the wounds or injuries are minor, there is nothing to worry about. Myth number 3, people who self-harm want to die. People who self-injure usually do not want to die. When they self-harm, they are not trying to kill themselves. They are trying to cope with their problems and pain. In fact, self-injury may be a way of helping themselves go on living. However, the long term, people who self-injure have a much higher risk of suicide, which is why it is so important to seek help. These are my sources, and then I have a video on YouTube I wanted to show you guys.